After 5 years of marriage, my wife said to me, I am tired of hoping that you will become wealthy. You are simply good for nothing. She immediately gave me the divorce papers to fill and she left with all her belongings. It happened to me like a dream, but what happened next was really unimaginable. Hey there. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Your support keeps this channel alive, and we're truly grateful. If you're loving these tales, hit that subscribe button to join the ride. Oh, and drop a comment letting us know what city you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear it, and you might just get a shout out in our next story. Speaking of which, today's special shout out goes to Enrican from Townsville, Australia. Glad you're enjoying the journey. O'Day's story is quite different from the usual stories we share, and we would love your honest feedback. Thanks in advance. Now let's dive into today's story. You ever hear a silence so loud it screams? That's what hit me the night Lydia walked out. I was sitting in our little apartment, the kind with peeling paint and a fridge that hummed like a dying lawnmower. My laptop glowed in front of me, code sprawling across the screen. My big dream, my ticket out of this mess. I'd been at it for hours, tweaking lines, chasing a breakthrough. The clock said 9:47 p.m., and I figured Lydia would stumble in soon, tired from her shift at the bookstore, maybe with a bag of day-old pastries she'd snagged for us. Instead, the door slammed open like a gunshot. She stood there, her brown hair tangled, eyes red-rimmed like she'd been crying or holding it in too long. Her coat was buttoned wrong, and she clutched a stack of papers like they were a weapon. Elliot, she said, voice sharp enough to cut glass, I'm done. I'm so tired of hoping you'll become wealthy. You're good for nothing. I froze. My mouth opened, but no words came out, just a dumb, fish-like gape. She tossed the papers onto the table, and they landed with a thud. Divorce papers. Black ink on white, staring up at me like a death sentence. Sign them, she said. I'm leaving tonight. Lydia, wait. I finally croaked, standing so fast my chair tipped over. We can talk about this. I'm close, I swear. The software, it's almost ready. One more pitch, and no. She spun on me, her voice cracking like a whip. 5 years, Elliot. 5 years of almost. I've carried us, me, with my stupid job, while you play genius in this dump. I'm done waiting. She yanked a suitcase from under the bed, the one we bought for a honeymoon we never took. Clothes flew into it, her blue sweater, the jeans I loved on her. Every zip and slam was a nail in my chest. I stumbled toward her, hands out like I could grab the moment and hold it still. Please, don't do this. I love you. We're a team, remember? My voice sounded small, pathetic even to me. She paused, just for a second, her back to me. I thought maybe I'd gotten through. Then she turned, and her eyes were cold, like I was a stranger. A team? Teams win, Elliot. We're losing. I'm losing. She zipped the suitcase shut. Sign the papers. I'll be back for the rest tomorrow. I don't know how long I stood there after she left. The door clicked shut, and the apartment swallowed me whole. Her coffee mug sat on the counter, half full, lipstick smudged on the rim. The couch still had her dent in it, like she'd just gotten up. I sank onto it, the divorce papers in my lap, and stared at them. My hands shook. 5 years, gone in 5 minutes. I thought about chasing her, running down the stairs, banging on her car window, begging like some movie hero. But my legs wouldn't move. What was I supposed to say? Stay with the loser a little longer? She'd made up her mind. And deep down, I wondered if she was right. Maybe I was good for nothing. The apartment felt different now, like it was holding its breath. I walked to the window, looked out at the street. Her taillights were already gone, swallowed by the city. Rain started tapping the glass, slow at first, then harder, like it was trying to wash away what just happened. I pressed my forehead against the cold pane, my breath fogging it up. The laptop pinged, a reminder I'd set for a pitch deadline. 2 days away. Another shot at the dream Lydia hated. I laughed, a bitter, choked sound. She'd left me, but she'd left this too. My stupid, stubborn hope. I sat back down, the screen's glow cutting through the dark. My fingers hovered over the keys. I could quit, trash it all, or I could finish it, prove something. To her, to myself, to anyone. I started typing. The rain hammered harder, and I kept going, line after line. I didn't know it then, but that night was the end of us, and the start of something else. Something big. And God help me, I wasn't ready for where it'd take me. The apartment didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a ghost town, and I was the only haunt left. Lydia had been gone 3 days, and I still couldn't shake the sound of that door clicking shut behind her. It echoed in my head, louder than the leaky faucet dripping into the sink or the neighbor's dog barking down the hall. I stood in the middle of the living room, hands shoved in my pockets, staring at the dent she'd left in the couch. 5 years of her sitting there, reading her novels, sipping tea, yelling at me about bills, and now it was just a saggy cushion mocking me. I shuffled to the kitchen, my socks sliding on the chipped linoleum. Her coffee mug was still on the counter, half full, cold as a corpse. That little pink smudge of lipstick on the rim hit me like a punch. I picked it up, sniffed it, stale coffee and a whiff of her vanilla chapstick. "You couldn't even finish this, huh?" I muttered, like she'd hear me from wherever she'd run off to. I dumped it in the sink, watched the brown swirl down the drain, and felt my throat tighten. Was that it? 5 years, down the pipes with yesterday's trash? The place was a mess of her absence. I found one of her hair ties on the coffee table, black, stretched out, a few strands of her brown hair tangled in it. I held it up, twirling it between my fingers. We'd been a mess lately, sure, but there were good times too. I closed my eyes, and it came rushing back, our first date, for bucks between us, splitting tacos at that greasy food truck. She'd laughed so hard salsa dripped down her chin, and I'd wiped it off with my sleeve, grinning like an idiot. "We're gonna make it big, Elle," she'd said, I sparkling. "You and me, millionaires by 30. I believed it. We both had. Then last month flashed in, her slamming a stack of bills on the table, voice sharp. "Rent's late again, Elliot. When's soon gonna happen?" I'd mumbled something about a pitch, a big one, and she just stared at me, arms crossed, like I was a kid who'd lost his homework. I opened my eyes, the hair tie still in my hand. Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd been chasing a ghost all along. I dropped it and wandered to the bedroom. The bed was unmade, her side a tangle of sheets like she'd fought her way out. I sat on my side, springs creaking under me, and spotted a grocery list on the nightstand in her loopy handwriting. Milk, bread, eggs, normal stuff, like we were normal people. At the bottom, she'd scribbled, "Get beer for Elle." I laughed, a short, choked sound that turned into something wet and ugly. She'd hated my cheap beer, called it swill, but she'd bought it anyway. For me. I crumpled the paper and threw it across the room. It bounced off the wall, landed by her empty closet. "Great shot, champ." The divorce papers sat on the kitchen table, and signed, glaring at me every time I passed. I hadn't touched them since she'd left, just let them fester there like a bad rash. I grabbed a beer from the fridge, cracked it open, and flopped onto the couch. The first sip was bitter, cold, and I chugged half of it just to feel something else. The silence was killing me. No clatter of her keys, no hum of her singing off-key in the shower. I flicked on the radio to drown it out, some oldie station she loved. Of course, her favorite song came on, that sappy ballad about love and rain. "Oh, come on," I yelled, smacking the dial so hard the knob popped off. It rolled under the couch, and I didn't bother chasing it. Just me and the quiet again. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Water stains up there looked like faces, angry ones, probably judging me. "Good for nothing," she'd said. Was I? 5 years plugging away at this software, nights hunched over my laptop while she worked doubles at the bookstore. I'd built something, code that could change everything, a system to make shipping smarter, faster, cheaper. I'd pitched it to 10 companies, got 10 numbers. But I was close. I could feel it in my gut, like a storm about to break. Or maybe that was just the beer talking. I hauled myself up, grabbed my laptop from the table, and opened it. The screen flickered, casting blue light across the room. My project stared back at me, half-finished, messy, but mine. Lines of code I'd poured my soul into, nights I'd skipped sleep for. Lydia used to sit with me, back when she believed, asking dumb questions like, "What's that squiggly thing do?" I'd laugh, explain it, and she'd nod like she got it. Then she stopped asking, stopped caring. I took another swig of beer, set it down hard enough to slosh foam on the table. "You're all I've got left," I said to the screen, my voice rough. My fingers hovered over the keys. I could delete it, wipe the slate clean, get some dead-end job, prove her right. Or I could finish it. shove it in her face, not with words, but with something real, something that'd make her choke on good for nothing. The clock ticked past midnight. My eyes burned, my back ached, but I started typing. One line, then another. The faucet dripped, the fridge buzzed, and I kept going. I didn't know what I was proving or who I was proving it to. Maybe her, maybe me, maybe nobody. But I couldn't stop. Not now. By 3 a.m., I hit save, leaned back, and rubbed my face. The apartment was still empty, still quiet, but something shifted. A spark, maybe. A crazy, stupid hope. I'd finish it, not for her, but for me. But could I really do it alone? That question hung there, heavy as the dark, and I didn't have an answer. Not yet. 4 months of hell started with a single no, and trust me, I got a lot of those. After Lydia walked out, I told myself I'd finish the software, make it big, shove it in her face like a victory lap. But the world doesn't care about your pep talks. It just kicks you harder when you're down, and I was about to learn that the hard way. The first week, I hauled my laptop to a coffee shop, couldn't stand the apartment's gloom anymore. I pitched my software to some startup guy in a tie too tight for his neck. AI-driven logistics, I said, leaning in, voice buzzing with hope. It cuts shipping costs by 20%, tracks real-time, predicts delays, game changer, right? He sipped his latte, scrolled my demo, and shrugged. Not scalable, he said, like I'd offered him a kid's science project. I wanted to chuck his cup out the window, but I just nodded, said thanks, and dragged myself home. Strike one. By month 2, the apartment looked like a war zone. Bills stacked up on the table, red stamps screaming past due, so I sold the TV. Got $50 from a guy on the street who smelled like old socks. The couch went next, some college kid hauling it off for a case of beer he didn't even share. I ate ramen straight from the pot, standing over the stove because I'd sold the chairs too. My world shrank to a mattress on the floor, a flickering lamp, and that damn laptop. Every night, I tweaked the code, faster algorithms, cleaner interface, telling myself the next pitch would land. I hit the pavement hard, pitched to a freight company in a glass tower, my sneakers squeaking on their marble floor. The exec barely looked up from his phone. "We've got our own system," he grunted, waving me off. A tech firm downtown was worse. Some slick-haired guy smirked through my whole spiel, then said, "Nice try, but we're not betting on dreamers." I laughed on the way out, a crazy, ragged sound, because if I didn't, I'd scream. 10 no's, 10 doors slammed in my face. My inbox was a graveyard of "we regret to inform you" emails. Month 3, I was a zombie. Bags under my eyes, hair a greasy mess, living in the same hoodie because laundry cost quarters I didn't have. My buddy Jake swung by one night, banging on the door till I let him in. He took one look at the place, empty except for my mattress and a tower of ramen wrappers, and whistled. "Jesus, L, you look like death warmed over. Crash at my place, huh? Take a break." I shook my head, jaw tight. "Can't. Gotta finish this." He sighed, left a 20 on the counter, for food, not code, and walked out. I spent it on coffee instead, stayed up till dawn, fingers flying over the keys. The software was good now, damn good. I could feel it. But the rent was due, and I was out of stuff to sell. The landlord slid a notice under the door. 3 days to pay or get out. I stared at it, heart pounding, then grabbed my laptop and hit one last pitch. Some big-shot tech outfit. Offices so shiny I could see my hollow face in the walls. I walked in, palms sweaty, demo loaded. The guy across the desk, bald, suit crisp, leaned back, arms crossed. 5 minutes, he said. I talked fast. Numbers, benefits, the works. Showed him the live demo, trucks rerouting on a map like magic. He didn't blink, just scribbled something on a pad. "We'll call you," he said, and I was out the door, stomach in knots. 2 days later, I was down to my last ramen pack, boiling water on the stove, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. Bill collectors love me lately, but I swiped it anyway. "Elliot Hayes?" A voice said, cool, and clipped. "Yeah, who's this?" I croaked, throat dry. "This is Tom Carver, Carver Tech. We ran your software through our system. It's impressive. We're interested, multi-million-dollar interested. Can you come in tomorrow?" I dropped the pot. Water splashed everywhere, hissing on the burner, but I didn't care. Yeah, yes. Tomorrow, absolutely. I stammered, grinning so hard my face hurt. He hung up, and I hooped, loud, wild, bouncing off the bare walls. I spun around the empty apartment, fists pumping, yelling, "Take that, you suits." I'd done it. Millions. Me, Elliot, the good-for-nothing dreamer. I sank onto the mattress, laughter fading. The place was still a dump, peeling paint, buzzing fridge, but I'd won. I pictured Lydia's face, that smug look she'd had walking out. What would she say now? "Hey, babe, remember that loser you ditched? He's loaded." I chuckled, but it died fast. She wasn't here. No one was. I grabbed my phone, scrolled Jake's number. Someone to tell, right? But stopped. It was 2 a.m. He'd just say told you so anyway. I lay back, staring at the ceiling. Water stains still looked like faces, but maybe they were smirking now, not scowling. Tomorrow, I'd sign the deal, get the advance, pay off the landlord, move out of this hole. But as the high faded, a chill crept in. I'd built this thing alone, poured everything into it, sweat, sleepless nights, every ounce of fight I had left. And yeah, it worked. I was rich, but the bed was still half empty, the apartment still echoed, and that dent in my chest? Still there. I closed my eyes, the phone buzzing with a text I didn't check. Carver Tech's logo flashed in my head, my ticket out. I signed the deal tomorrow, but the ink felt cold already. Was this one worth it without her? I didn't know. Maybe I'd find out when the money hit my hands. Or maybe I'd just keep running from that question. Money changes everything, except the hole in your chest. That's the dirty little secret they don't tell you when you sign a contract with more zeros than you can count. 3 weeks after Carver Tech handed me the deal, I was out of that crumbling apartment and into a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the city skyline that sparkled like a postcard. I stood there my first night, barefoot on polished hardwood, a glass of whiskey in my hand. Real stuff, not the cheap swill I used to choke down. The lights out there blinked like they were cheering me on, but inside, it was just me and a fancy echo. I'd packed up the old place in a day, threw out the ramen wrappers, left the mattress for the next sucker, and didn't look back. The landlord pounded on the door as I hauled my laptop out, yelling about late fees, but I just grinned and handed him a check, full amount plus extra to shut him up. "Keep the change," I said, walking away like some movie badass. Felt good, too, till I got in the moving truck and realized I didn't have anyone to call about it. The penthouse came furnished, sleek leather couches, a bed bigger than my old kitchen, a fridge that didn't buzz like a chainsaw. I wandered through it, trailing my fingers over marble counters, half expecting someone to kick me out. I bought a car too, a shiny black thing with buttons I didn't understand. First time I drove it, I stalled out at a stoplight, cursing while a guy in a pickup honked and flipped me off. "Yeah, laugh it up," I muttered, fumbling the ignition. Took me a week to figure out the heated seats, but damn if they didn't feel like a hug I didn't deserve. Money bought stuff, sure, but it didn't buy noise. The place was too quiet. No leaky faucets, no neighbors arguing through the walls. I turned on the TV, a flat screen the size of a billboard, flipped through channels, and landed on some cooking show. Lydia used to watch those, narrating like she was the chef. "Needs more garlic, you idiot." I smirked, then switched it off. Too many ghosts in the static. I tried filling the void. Hit a tailor, got a suit, navy, crisp, $500. Stood in front of the mirror, tugging the lapels, and laughed. "Look at me, Mr. Big Shot." Bought a watch too, heavy on my wrist, ticking like it was counting down to something I couldn't name. Jake came over, jaw dropping as he stepped in. "Holy hell, Elle, you're loaded," he said, flopping onto the couch. We drank beers, craft ones now, not the swill, and he grilled me about the deal. "Millions, man. You're a legend." I shrugged, grinned, but inside, I kept picturing Lydia's face, her eyes wide, her mouth shutting for once. He dropped the bomb casual like, mid-sip. "Oh, heard from Sarah, Lydia's hitched again. Some accountant, Mark. Real steady type." My beer stopped halfway to my mouth. "Married," I said, voice flat. Jake nodded, oblivious. "Yeah, quick too. Guess she wanted safe." I forced a laugh, took a long pull, but it tasted sour. Mark. A numbers guy. No dreams, just spreadsheets. I pictured her in a beige house, him in loafers, and my stomach twisted. Safe. Not me. After Jake left, I stood at the window, city lights blurring into streaks. She'd moved on. For months, and she'd swapped me for a guy who probably owned a tie rack. I'd won, hadn't I? Millions in the bank, a penthouse, a future. So why did it feel like she'd beat me to the punch? I tried dating. Met a girl at a bar, Carla, red hair, sharp smile. She laughed at my dumb jokes, leaned in close over cocktails. What do you do, Elliot? She asked, twirling her straw. Software, I said, casual, like it didn't mean everything. Her eyes lit up. Money does that to people. We went out twice, dinner at places with cloth napkins, but it fizzled. She was nice, warm even, but when she talked about her marketing job, I zoned out, imagining Lydia across the table instead, rolling her eyes at my tie. You're hopeless, she'd say. I stopped calling Carla after that. No spark, no point. Nights got weird. I'd pace the penthouse, whiskey in hand, replaying the old days. Lydia and me in that tiny apartment, dreaming big over takeout. I'd sketch code on napkins. She'd doodle house plans, big windows, a yard. When you sell this thing, she'd say, tapping my laptop, we're set. I'd nod, kiss her, promise it'd happen. Now it had, and she was gone. I'd toast the air sometimes, glass raised to nobody. Here's to us, babe. Look at me now. The words bounced off the walls, hollow as my laugh. One night, I sprawled on the couch, scrolling my phone, news about Carver Tech, my name in bold. Elliot Hayes, overnight success. I snorted. Overnight, my ass. 5 years of grind, plus 4 months of hell. I wondered if she'd seen it. If she'd choked on her coffee, told Mark. That's my ex. Did she regret it? Did I want her to? I tossed the phone aside, rubbed my eyes. Winning felt good, but it didn't feel right. Not yet. The doorbell buzzed, sharp and sudden, cutting through the quiet. I frowned. 11 p.m. Who the hell? Jake? Maybe, drunk and crashing? I shuffled over, whiskey still in hand, and yanked the door open. My breath caught. There she was, Lydia, hair pulled back, coat hugged tight around her. Her eyes locked on mine, sharp and searching, like she'd never left. Elliot, she said, voice low, we need to talk. I stood there, glass slipping in my grip, heart slamming against my ribs. She wasn't a ghost, wasn't a dream. She was real, standing in my shiny new life, and I had no idea what to say. The city hummed behind me, but all I heard was her breathing, waiting. What the hell was she doing here? She stood there, accusing me like I'd robbed her, not the other way around. Lydia, framed in my penthouse doorway, coat clutched tight, eyes boring into me like she could see straight through my new suit and fancy watch to the broke dreamer she'd ditched. I gripped my whiskey glass, knuckles white, and stared back, mouth dry as sand. Talk, I said, voice rougher than I meant. You show up at 11 at night to talk? She stepped inside without asking, heels clicking on the hardwood like little gunshots. Yeah, Elliot. Talk. She glanced around. Leather couch, gleaming kitchen, the skyline glowing through the windows, and her lip twitched, not quite a smile. Nice place. Guess you finally made it. I shut the door, harder than I needed to, and set the glass down before I threw it. Yeah, I did. No thanks to you. The words slipped out sharp, and her eyes flashed anger, maybe hurt. I couldn't tell. She crossed her arms, coat rustling, and I caught a whiff of that vanilla chapstick she always wore. Hit me like a brick, dragging me back to the apartment, to us. Don't start, she said, voice low, tight. I didn't come here to fight about that. Then why'd you come, Lydia? I leaned against the counter, arms folded, trying to look calm when my pulse was hammering. Heard you're Mrs. Mark now. What's the problem? Spreadsheet's not exciting enough. Her jaw tightened, and she looked away, out the window at the city lights. You don't get to judge me, she said, quieter now. But that's not it. I saw your name, Carver Tech, the deal. Everyone's talking about you. And she turned back, eyes locking on mine. I had to see you. I laughed, short and bitter. What, to congratulate me? Throw me a parade? Little late for that. I grabbed the whiskey again, took a swig, let it burn down my throat. She watched me, silent, And I hated how she could still do that, make me feel small with just a look. No, she said finally. To ask why you didn't fight for me. Her voice cracked on fight, and it hit me like a sucker punch. You let me go, Elliot. Didn't call, didn't chase me, didn't even argue. Just sat there and let me walk out. I slammed the glass down, liquid sloshing over the edge. Are you kidding me? You shoved divorce papers in my face. Told me I was good for nothing. What was I supposed to do? Tie you to the couch. My voice bounced off the walls, loud in the empty space, and she flinched, but didn't back down. You could have tried, she shot back, stepping closer. You could have shown me you cared, not just about your damn software. 5 years, and when it got hard, you checked out. I needed more than promises, I needed you. I stared at her, chest heaving. Checked out? I was killing myself for us. Nights coding while you slept, pitching till my voice gave out, also we could have this. I waved a hand at the penthouse, the shiny life she'd missed. You're the one who bailed, Lydia. For months, and you're married to some stiff? Don't put that on me. She hugged herself tighter, eyes glistening now, but her chin stayed up. Mark's steady. He's there. You were always half gone, chasing your big break. I waited, God. I waited so long, but I couldn't anymore. Her voice softened, almost broke. But seeing you now, it's not what I thought. Not what you thought? I stepped toward her, heat rising. What did you think? I'd stay broke forever. You didn't believe in me. Never did. Not really. You walked out when I was this close. I held my fingers an inch apart, shaking. And now you waltz in here, blaming me? I believed in you once, she said, voice trembling. Back when we were a team. But you stopped fighting for me. I needed you to show me it wasn't just about the code. A tear slipped down her cheek, and she swiped it away fast, like she was mad at it. I opened my mouth, then shut it. Memories crashed in, her asking me to take a night off, me brushing her off with later, babe. Her crying over bills while I typed, promising soon. Had I stopped fighting? I shook my head, shoved the thought down. You made it clear you were done, I said, quieter now. Paper signed, suitcase packed. I didn't have a shot. She looked at me, long and hard, like she was searching for something she'd lost. Maybe, she whispered, but I keep wondering. What if you had? She stepped closer, close enough I could feel her breath, and my heart stuttered. Mark's good, Elliot. Safe. But he's not you. I froze. Her eyes, those hazel eyes I'd drowned in 1,000 times, were on me, soft, sharp, pulling me in. Was she saying what I thought? My hands clenched, unclenched. What are you doing, Lydia? I rasped. You're married. You left. Why now? She didn't answer, just held my gaze, and the air thickened between us. Then she turned, grabbed the door handle. I don't know, she said, voice barely there. I just had to see. She paused, half out, then looked back. You look good, oh really good. The door clicked shut, softer this time, and she was gone. I stood there, rooted, her perfume lingering like a punch I couldn't dodge. My glass sat on the counter, whiskey pooling around it, and I sank onto the couch, head in my hands. She'd turned it all upside down, blamed me, twisted me up, then walked out again. And that last line, he's not you. What the hell did that mean? Was she regretting it? Testing me? Toying with me? I grabbed my phone, scrolled to her old number, still there, unblocked. My thumb hovered over call. I could chase her now, demand answers, drag it all out in the open. Or let her go, like she said I always did. The screen blurred, my eyes stinging, and I tossed it aside. Her coat, her tears, her words, they spun in my head, loud against the penthouse silence. I'd won the deal, the money, the life. But standing there, alone, I wondered, did I screw up letting her go? Or was she just here to mess with me one last time? I didn't know, and it was tearing me apart. I couldn't sleep. Her words were a ghost rattling my brain. Lydia's voice, sharp and soft all at once, kept looping. You didn't fight for me. It was 2 a.m., and I was pacing my penthouse like a caged animal, barefoot on cold hardwood, the city lights flashing through the windows like they were mocking me. Her perfume still hung in the air, vanilla and regret, and every step I took kicked up questions I didn't want to answer. Had I let her go too easy? Was she right? I grabbed a beer from the fridge, fancy stuff now, not the swill, and cracked it open, the hiss loud in the silence. Took a swig, paced some more. The couch loomed in front of me, sleek and empty, and I flopped onto it, staring at the ceiling. No water stains here, just smooth white plaster, but I half wish for those old faces to judge me. At least they'd keep me company. My phone sat on the coffee table, screen dark, tempting me to call her, yell at her, beg her, something. But I didn't touch it. Not yet. Her face flashed in my head, tears on her cheeks, that looked like she wanted me to fix 5 years in 5 seconds. He's not you, she'd said. What a line. I laughed, a rough, hollow sound, and took another gulp of beer. Mark wasn't me, damn right he wasn't. I built something out of nothing, clawed my way up while he punched numbers in a cubicle. But she'd picked him. 4 months after me, she'd said, I do to save. So why was she here, stirring up my life like a storm? I closed my eyes, and the old apartment came back, peeling paint, that buzzing fridge, us. A memory hit hard. Lydia in my hoodie, curled on the couch, watching me code late one night. You're gonna change the world, Elle, she'd said, sleepy, smiling. I'd grinned back, tapped her nose. We are, babe. You and me. She believed me then, really believed. Another night slammed in, her slamming a drawer, voice tight. Take a break, Elliot. Just one night with me. I'd waved her off, eyes on the screen. Later. Okay. This is big. She'd stormed off, and I'd kept typing. How many laters had I given her? I sat up, beer sloshing in my hand. Maybe she had a point. I'd been so locked on the software, my golden ticket, that I'd let it slip. Nights I could have held her, talked to her. I'd spent hunched over keys, promising soon. But she'd stopped believing long before she left. I saw it now. Her size, her clipped fine S, the way she'd stare out the window like she was already gone. I'd thought it was her giving up, but maybe I'd checked out first. I stood, paced again, the beer warm in my grip. No, I muttered, shaking my head. No, that's not fair. She'd called me good for nothing. Me, busting my ass for us. I'd fought, just not the way she wanted. Every pitch, every all-nighter, that was me fighting, for a life we could live, not just scrape by. She'd wanted flowers, date nights, words. I'd given her sweat and code, betting it'd pay off. And it had. Too late for her, sure, but it had. I stopped by the window, city sprawled below, lights winking like stars. Another memory. The day she left, her suitcase zipping shut, her voice cold. Sign the papers. I'd pleaded, weak and dumb, but she'd been a wall, unmoving, done. I hadn't chased her down the stairs, hadn't banged on her car. Why? Because she'd gutted me, left me nothing to fight with. Or because I'd known, deep down, she was already out the door? She didn't believe in me. I said aloud, voice bouncing off the glass. That was the truth, sharp as a blade. She'd loved the dreamer once, but when the dream took too long, she'd bailed. I'd kept going, alone, broken, half-starved, and I'd won. This penthouse, this life, it was mine. Not ours. Mine. So why was she here, twisting the knife? I sank back onto the couch, rubbed my face. He's not you. My chest tightened. Was she unhappy? Missing me? Or just jealous, seeing me shine while she played house with Mark? I pictured her in some beige suburb, him droning about taxes, her staring at the ceiling like she used to with me. Did she lie awake, wondering? Did I want her to? My phone buzzed, a text. I snatched it up, heart jumping. Her name glowed. Can we meet tomorrow? Coffee. I stared at it, thumb hovering. She wanted back in. Maybe not all the way, but enough to mess with me. I could say yes, hear her out, see if she'd beg. Or I could delete it, shut her out, keep this life clean. My finger twitched, and I chucked the phone across the room. It thudded against the wall, screen cracking. Damn it, Lydia! I yelled, beer spilling as I stood. I didn't need her approval. Not then, not now. She'd left me to drown, and I'd swam anyway. Fought anyway. This, my deal, my penthouse, my win, wasn't about her. It was me, proving I wasn't nothing. I paced again, faster, breath ragged. I'd been chasing her ghost too long. 5 years dreaming for us, for months grinding for her to see. And now this? No, I was done. I grabbed the beer, drained it, slammed the can on the counter. You don't get to do this, I said to the empty room, picturing her face. You don't get to walk back in and flip my world. I'd fought. In my way, my messy, stubborn way, and I'd won. She could live with Mark, with safe. I didn't need her to see me shine. I saw me. That was enough. I crashed onto the bed, head spinning, but lighter somehow. The city hummed outside, steady, alive. I'd wake up tomorrow, face the cracked phone, decide then, coffee or silence. But for now, I closed my eyes, and the ghost quieted. I'd made it. Not for her, for me. Free, maybe. But what now? That question lingered, soft and heavy, as sleep pulled me under. The skyline glittered, and for once, it didn't mock me. I stood on the penthouse roof, when tugging at my jacket, a beer in my hand, not the fancy stuff this time, just a cold, honest can I'd grabbed from a corner store. It was 6 months since Lydia's late-night ambush, 6 months since I'd cracked my phone and my head open figuring out what I wanted. The city stretched out below, a mess of lights and lives, and I grinned into the breeze. I'd made it, not just the money, not just the deal, but me. Elliot, unbroken. That morning after her text, I'd woken up to sunlight slicing through the blinds, my cracked phone buzzing on the floor. I'd fished it out, squinted at her words, coffee, and felt the pull, that old ache to run back, fix us, prove something. But I'd sat there, legs dangling off the bed, and thought about the grind, the ramen nights, the nos, the wins. I'd done that. Not her, not us, me. So I typed back, slow and sure, take care, Lydia. Send it, deleted her number, and walked away. No coffee, no ghosts. Just me and the day ahead. I took a sip of beer, the taste sharp and familiar, and leaned on the railing. The months after that were a blur, a good blur. Carver Tech rolled out my software, trucks zipping across maps like I dreamed, headlines calling me the logistics wunderkind. Wunderkind, me, the guy who'd sold his couch for $50. I'd laughed reading that, sprawled on my new one, and Jake had texted, told you, legend. I'd grinned, but it wasn't the press or the cash that got me. It was what I did next. I'd been pacing one night, same as always, when it hit me, I wasn't the only dreamer out there scraping by. So I started something, the Hayes Fund. Dumb name, maybe, but it fit. A chunk of my millions went into it. Grants for people like I'd been, coders and hustlers with big ideas and empty wallets. First check I cut was to a kid in a basement, building an app to help farmers track crops. He'd emailed me after, voice shaking on the phone. You saved me, man. I choked up, muttered, just pay it forward, and hung up fast. Didn't need him hearing me get sappy. The fund grew, applications piled up, and I hired a couple folks to sort through them, but I read every one. Stories of single moms coding at midnight, guys pitching from garages. It was me all over again, and I loved it. Last week, I'd flown out to meet a few, handed over checks in person. One woman, Tara, hugged me so hard I spilled my coffee, laughing about how she'd sold her toaster to buy a laptop. Worth it now, she'd said, grinning. I'd nodded, throat tight. Worth it. That was the point. I tipped the beer back, let the wind cool my face. The penthouse wasn't so empty anymore. I'd hung photos, not of Lydia, but of those early days, me and Jake at a dive bar, my old laptop glowing in the dark. Reminders of where I'd started. I dated a bit too, nothing serious, just dinners, laughs. A nurse named Sam had stuck around longest, her dry humor cutting through my bullshit. You're a softie under all this, she teased last night, poking my chest. I'd smirked, didn't argue. Maybe she was right. The mailbox had coughed up a surprise that afternoon, a letter, handwritten, postmarked from the suburbs. Lydia's loopy scrawl stared up at me, and I'd stood in the kitchen, heart thudding, debating whether to trash it. Curiosity won. I'd slid it open, sank into a chair, and read. Elliot, it started. Saw you in the news again, some fun thing. Sounds like you. I'm proud, really. Mark's good, we're steady, but I think about you sometimes. Hope you're happy. No begging, no blame, just her, quiet and far away. A P.S. That software is everywhere now. Guess you were right. I'd set it down, stared at the counter. Proud. Happy. Words she'd never given me when it mattered. I pictured her writing it, maybe late at night, Mark snoring beside her, her pen hesitating over think about you. Did she mean it? Did I care? I folded the letter, slid it into a drawer. Not to keep, just to let it rest. She was a memory now, not a weight. I'd carried her too long. I drained the beer, crushed the can in my fist, and tossed it into the bin by the roof door. The city hummed below, alive, moving, and I felt it in my bones. I was part of it now, not just scraping by on the edges. I'd fought my way here, not with fists or flowers, but with code and guts. Lydia hadn't seen it then, but I did. That was enough. I leaned on the railing, let the wind whip through my hair. Sam's laugh echoed in my head. Tara's hug. That kid's shaky, thank you. I wasn't alone, not really. The horizon stretched wide, pink and gold fading into night, and I smiled, a real one, not the half-assed kind I'd faked for months. The old apartment, the divorce papers, her voice, they were shadows, fading fast. I didn't need them to shine. Elliot Hayes, I said aloud, testing it, letting the wind carry it off. Sounded good solid, mine. I turned, headed back inside, the door clicking shut behind me. Tomorrow, I'd meet Sam for coffee, check on the fund, keep building. The weight was gone, and I was finally me, Elliot, unbroken. But as I flicked off the roof light, a tiny nag tugged at me. What if I'd fought harder back then? Not for her, but for me? I shook it off, locked the door. No point in what-ifs. I'd made my life, and it was good, damn good. Still, that little whisper hung there, soft as the city's hum, daring me to wonder. Wow, what a ride, right? Thanks for sticking with Elliot all the way to the horizon. If his journey hit you in the feels, or if you've got your own story of grit and glory, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to smash that like button if you rooted for him, and hit subscribe for more tales that grab you by the heart and don't let go. Ring the bell too, so you never miss what's next. See you in the next story.